In this video, we'll talk about how to switch branches in Git. And so let's talk about branches at a very high level. Basically, branches are just collections of changes, and you can think of them as bookmarks. There's a bookmark that points to these changes. There's a bookmark that points to these changes, and you can switch between those bookmarks by checking out one branch or bookmark or another branch or bookmark. Okay. And so there are lots of different branching strategies for teams. I think the most important thing to remember is that you are only talking about a bookmark, that the changes are really the primary way that Git works. And it can be difficult to think about branches because you tend to think about them as folders or something permanent, but oftentimes branches will be deleted. They're just pointers. All right. So we'll come back to that later. Branching gets into some complicated scenarios pretty quickly. I think the most important thing that you want to know for now is that typically the primary branch in a repository is called master. It's created for you by default. That's not necessarily a requirement. Your primary branch could be called anything, but typically by convention, master is the name that's used. And then you create other branches with names that represent maybe a feature that you're trying to implement, a bug you're trying to fix, whatever the case might be. And then what you do is you switch between branches, you do your work on one branch, you approve it or a team approves it, and then you merge the changes from one branch into the mainline or master branch at some future point in time. All right. We'll come back to all these concepts later, but what I'm going to be using them for is to provide you two views of the code, maybe a before and after. Maybe I'm going to give you the problem and then the solution. So I might say, look, here's the template. Here's the exercise. It's in the master branch. But if you want to peek at how to solve this exercise or this challenge, take a look at the solution branch. So we'll walk through that scenario in this video, okay? That's the only thing I really want you to walk away from at this point. So let's pick back up where we left off in the previous video, where we're at the my first repo. In the working directory, we have two files, the hello.txt and the readme.md. And I tell you that, okay, we're working in our master branch. How do we prove that? Let's just do a command called git status. We'll type this like 1,000,000 times over the course of our lives as developers. And that will tell you what current branch you're working in. It says you're on branch master. In the video, I'll say, hey, that's great, but there's something you should see on the solution branch, and then you'll think, oh, I need to check out the solution branch and take a look at that. So let's take a look at the starting status or the starting point for our hello.txt. I'm going to open up Visual Studio Code so I can view that hello.txt file, and I'm going to do code space period, and that'll open up Visual Studio Code in that directory, and I can see all the files in the Explorer view on the left-hand side, and then view the contents of each file inside of the main area as I click on it. So I'm going to type code period, and that'll open up Visual Studio Code. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this welcome page. Don't need that. I'm going to click over here on the left. You can see here's the readme.txt file, and you see there's a phrase in this file, perfect is the enemy of good. So that is in my master branch. That's the content of this file. But what if I tell you now, change the branch? I want you to take a look at a variation of this, a new version of this in a branch called solution. So I'm going to come back down and open up my command prompt. And here I'm going to type git checkout solution. Solution is just a name I came up with off the top of my head. So now I've switched to the solution branch, switched to a new branch, solution. I'm going to go back to Visual Studio Code. Now, Visual Studio Code is smart enough to know that the contents of that file have changed because we changed the file system underneath Visual Studio Code, and it says, oh, I saw a change to this file. Let me repaint the screen and show you the new the contents of this file in the solution branch. All right, so I changed it to perfect is the enemy of progress. Right. So what if we switch back? So let's switch back. Git checkout master, And then we'll look back at Visual Studio Code and it changes it back to perfect is the enemy of good. All right, so that's how you switch between two branches. You just choose get checkout and the name of the branch. That's all you need to know for this video. All right, we'll see you in the next one. Thanks.